All right, today we will be learning about the converse of the Pythagorean theorem. Converse just means that in an if-then statement, you flip the if and then. So in the Pythagorean theorem, it was if triangle ABC is a right triangle, then a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So the converse in this case is going to be if a squared plus b squared equals c squared, then triangle ABC is a right triangle. Note how in the triangles that I drew for you guys, they do not have the little square in the corner that indicates that it's a right triangle, because we have to determine if it is. So let's go ahead, and the first thing we need to know is what are we going to plug in for our hypotenuse? Our hypotenuse is always going to be the longest side length. As you can see, between 3, 4, and 5, 5 is the largest number, so we're going to go ahead and make that our hypotenuse. So then we're just going to plug it in for a squared plus b squared and c squared. So we're going to get 3 squared plus 4 squared is equal to 5 squared. I'm going to put a little question mark above that equal sign because we're trying to determine if that's true. Because if it is true, then we have a right triangle. If it's not, then we do not. So if we keep going on this pattern, we're going to get 3 squared is 9, plus 4 squared is 16, is equal to, still questioning this, and 5 squared is 25. So then we get 9 plus 16 is 25, and 25 is in fact equal to 25. So then, yes, this is a right triangle. I just want to take a moment here to remind you that if this is going too fast for you, you can always pause so that you can keep up with the notes. There's no shame or harm in pausing the video. Next, we have 9, 12, and 15. Again, we need to determine between 9, 12, and 15. Which one is the largest? Well, 15 is the largest, so we're going to make that our hypotenuse. So we're going to get 9 squared plus 12 squared is equal to, again, we're not sure about this, 15 squared. Nine squared is 81. 12 squared is 144. Still not sure. And 15 squared is 225. And then 81 plus 144 is 225, which is in fact equal to 225. So then we write, yes, this is a right triangle. Next, we have 10, 24, and 25. Obviously, 25 is the largest number between 10, 24, and 25, so we're going to make that the hypotenuse. So we get 10 squared plus 24 squared is equal to 25 squared. We need to determine if that's true or not. 10 squared is 100. 24 squared is 576. And 25 squared is 625. So we get 100 plus 576 is going to give us 676, which is not equal to 625. So if they are not equal, then no, This is not a right triangle. All right. So the second thing that we need to determine from here is whether or not this triangle is then acute or obtuse if it's not a right triangle. Now, if you get that a squared plus b squared is greater than c squared, this is acute. If you get a squared plus b squared is less than c squared, this is obtuse. The only reason I'm throwing that in is because I know that your ALEKS homework will bring this up and mention it to you, ask you to determine whether it's acute, obtuse, or right. So take this note down so that you have it on hand. So in this case, we get that our a squared plus b squared is in fact greater than our c squared. So then it is an acute triangle. And our last example goes with the numbers 8, 15, and 20. We know 20 is our biggest number, so we're going to put that as our hypotenuse. So we get 8 squared plus 15 squared is equal to 20 squared. 8 squared is 64. 15 squared is 225. We're still unsure if it's equal to 20 squared, which is 400. And if you get 64 plus 225, you're going to get 289, which is not equal to 400. So then we can determine, no, this is not a right triangle. Then we look back at our note from the last slide, and we have that a squared plus b squared did turn out to be less than c squared, so it is an obtuse triangle. That is the lesson for today. You can head over to ALEKS and get started on your 4-question assignment. Remember, there are multiple parts to each of these questions.